Well, I guess this is the last time to say it. Spoilers for the main event, guys. Thank you, Nina. Hello and welcome to FTTR, I am Hugh McQuaid, and today we are talking about Progress Wrestling Chapter 184, Camden Lockup. That's right, it is the co-show with Bloodsport here in the UK, and yeah, it is Progress Next Chapter. It is following on their big 100th ballroom show, so this was one that I was very excited for because you had the likes of Man Like Deriess making his first title defense, you had the new heel Cara Noir making his official debut as a bad guy, and we also had the loser leaves Progress match between Kanji and Nina Samuels. There was a lot of stuff going into this show, a lot of stuff that I was very excited for, but how was the show? Before we dive into that, please subscribe, please like this video, please comment your thoughts down below, and I'll try and reply to every single one of them as we dive into this. Starting with the show overall. Overall, I'm going to say I liked this show. I didn't necessarily love this show. I thought there was some stuff on this show that puzzled me a little bit, and I was a bit confused as to why they went in that direction. I thought some of the matches were good, but they were a little bit on the short side. And there wasn't the overall, I loved the main event. The main event was great, but there wasn't that overall sort of match of the year contender, that thing that really got me fired up coming out of this show. And I don't know if that's because of time constraints, because of the Bloodsport stuff. I'm not sure how it sort of went down, but it was lacking that really big, amazing angle that Progress usually delivers that really gets me sort of amped up for the next show. And yeah, that is how I feel. I thought it was a good show. It wasn't necessarily a great show. But we're going to dive into the play-by-play, everything that happened, every match, every angle, starting with my big major criticism. And I've got to call this out because I found it a bit difficult to get on board with. And this is sort of an overall presentation thing. The audio on this show, I'm going to be honest, was not great. It was hard to hear. The commentary was so loud compared to the stuff that was happening in the ring and the crowd sound. It sounded like there was no sound. We were just listening to commentary at times, and I found that a little bit difficult to get through, and maybe that took away from some of the match because the crowd didn't seem very loud for pretty much anything because the commentary was so loud. Maybe that was just the Triller feed. Maybe it was better on sort of the Hooked on Wrestling TV, but for me, that did take away from my enjoyment of the show quite a bit because I couldn't hear the crowd. I couldn't hear the chants. I had to turn it up and turn it down constantly because the levels seemed to be really off for the commentary. The commentary was so loud compared to the rest of the stuff, so I was flicking between volumes, and that took away from the enjoyment a little bit. But we did have the opening match, which was Man Like Deriess making his first Progress World title defense in the UK against none other than Charlie Sterling. I thought this match was really good. This was a really damn good match. It was a great first outing in the UK for Man Like Deriess defending his Progress title. I've been saying for a while that I think Charlie Sterling is probably the right man to go up against Man Like Deriess for the title. However, where it comes to some of the puzzling stuff I was talking about earlier, I think we'll talk about it at the end. Because overall I thought this was a really good match. I really like the story of this match, targeting the back of Man Like Deriess, working over that injured back, and that's what Charlie Sterling was doing through the majority of the match. You also had a nice bit in there where Charlie Sterling tweaks his knee as well, and Man Like Deriess immediately goes in on that, sort of playing each other's games, playing tactics, one going after the back and one going after the leg, and that sort of played into how the match went going forward. And you got some nice sequences in there. You got Man Like Deriess playing Charlie Sterling at his own game, where he did this really cool sort of fake out with the Matrix cutter. That was really nice to see. He was sort of playing, I can do this. I can do exactly what you're doing, Sterling, when Sterling's messing with the ref, getting the ref in the way. He's like, okay, I'm going to go to your levels and I'm going to use the smarts, I'm going to use the brain, and he hit that awesome Matrix cutter. That was really cool to see. That was preceded by this awesome bit where Charlie Sterling hit a super kick and a pile driver for a great near fall. That looked really great. And then, following the sort of the awesome sequence where Deriess hits that Matrix cutter, you sort of got Deriess getting the upper hand, firing back, showing that he is the great babyface, the great champion of progress. He hit a springboard splash onto the back of Charlie Sterling, sort of mimicking what Sterling had done earlier in the match, because he hit a great big splash onto the back of Deriess, and then Deriess hit the 450 and locked in a sharpshooter for Sterling to tap out for the submission victory. That is not what I was expecting, and that's sort of where the puzzling nature of this comes into me and comes into this, because I really think that Charlie Sterling is someone that could hold the Progress World title very soon. I thought he was going to be the one to take it off Man Like Deriess personally. Having such a definitive win, such a definitive end for this Sterling feud, makes me think we're not going to get anything more from this, which I think is a shame. I think that's a mistake. I would have liked to have seen this be maybe, I don't know, maybe a little bit more, I don't want to say unclean, but I didn't want it to be such a decisive win of Sterling tapping out decisively. I would have liked to have seen Man Like Deriess maybe, just claw his way to that victory rather than it be so definitive. I get you want to have the definitive win for Deriess in his first defence, but I don't think that should have been against Sterling, who's been built up really well, racking up wins, beating Cara Noir to get this victory. I think it should have been something a little bit more indecisive, and we could have had a rematch down the line. Maybe we'll get a rematch down the line, but I don't really see the grounds for Sterling to go back and say, I deserve a rematch, because he lost clean as a whistle. He lost clean as a whistle. So, yeah, I would have liked to see that Sterling protected a little bit more. But overall, I thought this was great. Man Like Deriess unveiling the new belt with the new side plates, I think looks awesome as well. Yeah, it was a really good opening. I was just confused and a bit perplexed by the finish, but I want to see more of both guys. I can't wait to see. We'll talk about Man Like Deriess a little bit later, but I want to see more for Charlie Sterling as well. Atlas title feud with Will Cruz, please. Then we got Josh Holly versus Simon Miller. Now, Josh Holly comes down to the ring looking cool. He's got that mullet. He's got that look. He's got the great, mic skills. And he just cuts a great promo running down Simon Miller. Absolutely eviscerating Simon Miller on the mic. And then he calls out Simon to come to the ring and have a stare down with him. Simon Miller comes down, stares in the face of Josh Holly as Josh Holly just berates him. Says he's not even the best YouTuber turned wrestler that there is right now. And, bell rings, 2 spears, ups and downs, Simon Miller, quick victory over Josh Holly. This was good. This was fun. This solidified Simon as, a beast, because I think he can be, as his personality is, he can be the fun, goofy guy. But when you give him some serious stuff to do, he can do it. He knocks it out of the park, because he didn't say a word here. He barely said anything. He just speared, jackhammered, and left. And Josh Holly then goes to the outside. He gets in the face of Tom Scarborough on the outside, and he's evicted by some red shirts, carried out of the ring to the back. I think this could be a really fun character to have, almost like Max Caster in that regard for Josh Holly. But I'd also like to see Josh Holly, properly wrestle. I want to see what he can do. Simon looking so brutal and showing a different side, I think is really interesting as well. Overall, I thought this was very fun, very effective, and did exactly what it needed to do. Next up for the Progress Women's Championship, we had the Open Challenge as Lucy Sky answered to take on Rhio. This was really damn good. I really like this. I really like Lucy Sky. I really love Rhio. And they went in there and they had basically an Atlas Championship match, because it was non-stop, heavy-hitting bruisers going after each other. They immediately get in there and they're just trading blows, trading suplexes. It was really cool. Both women will pop out of the German suplexes when they've been knocked down. It was awesome. You had this great bit where Rio's been pushed to the outside and she's on top of Lucy Sky. She's nailing these shots and Lucy Sky just picks her up and power bombs her into the ring apron. That was awesome. That was so cool. Then you had Lucy Sky sort of working the power game and beating Rhio at her own game. Rio's usually been sort of a bruiser and a powerhouse, and she is just getting manhandled. She's getting dropped. Michinoku driver. And then Lucy Sky goes for a big splash. That gives Rhio the opportunity to pop back up, and she hits a shotgun drop kick on Lucy Sky. She's making that fiery comeback. She hit the shotgun drop kick, hit a fisherman's neck breaker, and managed to hit the package pile driver for the 1, 2, 3. Again, a definitive finish. There was no sort of shenanigans here, no sort of rematch seemingly with Lucy Sky. It was great to see Lucy Sky in Progress making her debut. I think this was a great sort of opening, first showing. That's what I was looking for. Great first showing from Lucy Sky in Progress, and I hope we see more of her. Another definitive win for Rhio. I don't know who's going to beat Rhio at this time. I think it's going to be very, very tricky to find someone who will. The only person I can maybe see is Kanji, but they've kind of been to that well. They've been to that well recently, so I don't know how they're going to go about beating Rhio. There's a Mio Yamashita coming very soon. Maybe that'll be the one. But yeah, this was a very fun match. Very fun Progress Women's title match. I was a big fan of it. Next up, we got RKJ taking on Owadasan. This was good. This didn't go as long as I thought it would. This was a Ricky Knight Jr. showcase, pretty much. This was Ricky Knight Jr. coming back from the N1 victory and showcasing himself as probably one of the big stars in Progress right now. I think he's going to be in that world title scene because he went out there and he was being cocky, he was being arrogant, but in a way that we all like because he's going up against Team 2000 X's Owadasan, who can just be a bad guy. He's immediately a bad guy. He gets a chair and he starts hitting Ricky Knight Jr. with it, and Ricky Knight Jr. gets up and he's like, that's how you want to play it? And then he's no-selling chops. He's chopping Owadasan really hard. He takes the Team 2000X t-shirt off him, starts chopping him really hard. Yeah, it made Ricky Knight Jr. look awesome. We had some great offense in there from Owadasan as well. He hits a really good high-angle German suplex, but then Ricky Knight Jr. comes back and he managed to hit like a springboard forearm to the back of the head, which looks really cool. You had another German from Owadasan when Ricky Knight Jr. no-sells it, gets back up, hits the Ricky Driver, I think he calls it. I think he's called the Ricky Driver, the sit-out pile driver for the 1-2-3. Picks up the win. Yeah, it went about 4 minutes. It was fun. It was enjoyable. Yeah, I think, Ricky Knight Jr. versus Man Like Deriess at some point. I don't know. I'm intrigued to see where this world title scene goes. I think it's all dependent on Cara Noir and where that's going. Yeah, it's hard to call at this point, but I think Ricky Knight Jr. will be slotted into that world title scene soon. And yeah, this was a fun showcase match. Then we got an absolutely brilliant Moth Dog video package showcasing the feud between Will Cruz and Gene Money. And then we got the match for the Atlas Championship, Will Cruz versus Gene Money. This was great. This was everything you wanted it to be as a big blow-off match to this feud, which has been going on a while. This has been a long feud, a long time coming in Progress. And they went out there and they had a beefy Atlas Championship match. You had big guys doing things that they shouldn't be doing. You had dives to the outside. You had Spanish flies. It is exactly what the Atlas Championship division should be and will be under Will Cruz, because Will Cruz picked up the win. There was shenanigans on the outside with Session Moth Martina. She was getting involved. She grabbed the feet of Gene Money at one point as it looked like Will Cruz was going to try and hit the Spanish fly, and she gets ejected. Tom Scarborough sees it, sends her to the back. Sort of the story of this match was Will Cruz kicking out at one. Will Cruz just kicking out of these moves at one because it was constant one counts, and it built to this amazing bit towards the end where Gene hits the Ainsley Lariat and Will Cruz kicks out at one, and it was just great. The shock on the face of Gene Money was really well done. Then you had Gene go for another Ainsley and finally gets that 2 count, really well executed. Then you have Will Cruz just firing up. He's coming back. Gene's going to the top rope and Will Cruz gets him and hits a Spanish fly. One of the most beautiful Spanish flies I've ever seen for two men of that size. It was fantastic. Then he hits the cruise control. 1, 2, 3. Decisively wins. New Atlas champion. Awesome. Well deserved for Will Cruz as well. I think he's going to be a great Atlas champion. I think having him face, guys that maybe we've not seen too much. I think Charlie Sterling should be in that mix for the Atlas Championship, but again, having guys like Big Damo maybe come back and having Axel Tischer maybe come back as well. There are some guys that you can slot into that Atlas division and make it one of the best big men divisions in the world right now. So yeah, I'm very excited to see where the Atlas Championship goes with Will Cruz at the helm. Awesome. This was a really, really fun match and a great feud ender for both guys. I think it was awesome. You got the hug at the end as well. Gene hugging his nephew again. I thought it was picture perfectly executed for an ending. Really well done. Then we have the bit that I am most intrigued to talk about, because I'm not sure how this has gone over with people, how people like it or not, but Cara Noir versus Alexander Lockhart. Heel Cara Noir is something that I think we need to talk about, because Cara Noir, if you don't know, he's like my favourite wrestler ever. I love Cara Noir. I love good guy Cara Noir. So when he turned heel, I was heartbroken and intrigued. Now we have that bad guy heel in full effect. And I think he does it to perfection. I think the makeup really works. I think the attitude really works. I think just the frustration that Cara was portraying here, facing someone making their debut, Alexander Lockhart, is they haven't made their debut, like they haven't fought in progress, is what I'm saying. And this should be an easy win for Cara. And it wasn't. This was something that bugged him and frustrated him. He just could not put away Lockhart. Lockhart would do everything. They would kick out of everything. Every single move that Cara dropped on Lockhart, they had an answer for. And I thought that was really interesting. I thought this could have been a squash match to really establish Cara. But Cara was just getting more and more frustrated the more Lockhart kicked out of move after move after move, kicked out of the Madam Guillotine, kicked out of the shotgun dropkick, kicked out of every move under the sun that Cara would do, and Cara would just scream after every point. He was just getting more and more frustrated, and I think a more aggressive Cara Noir is the right way to go for this heel turn. I loved it. I was a massive, massive fan of this, and I've also become a massive fan of Alexander Lockhart, because someone that I thought was just going to be fodder for Cara Noir to destroy actually turned out to do a really, really good job and really get the fans invested in them. I loved this. There were some really awesome moments where Cara has Lockhart like caught in a guillotine choke on the top rope, and Lockhart just hits like a cutter, a Tower of London. It was a really cool counter, and then manages to hit a Hurricane Rana as Cara goes for a package pile driver, but it was a punt, a vicious punt kick from Cara that puts away Lockhart. Boom. 1, 2, 3 with the most arrogant cover in the world. It was really sensational, really good. And then you have Lockhart in the ring, absolutely battered. Red shirts are around the ring. They're looking to sort of put a stop to whatever Cara is going to do, and Cara just looks and hits a brutal package pile driver on Alexander Lockhart. Then Deriess comes out to make the save as Cara is just walking around the ring, flipping off fans. I think it's a very interesting character for Cara to have, and I think Deriess is the right person to go against. I think where this may fall apart is what happens in the eventual match, because I believe that if you're going to do this bad guy run for Cara, he's got to beat Deriess. He's got to take that title from Man Like Deriess, which is why I'm shocked they're seemingly going to this very, very soon. Maybe at Vendetta, I think, is probably when you'll have it. You might have some interaction at the Manchester show or the Halloween show, but I think Vendetta is probably the place to do it, and I think that's probably where you have Cara beat Man Like Deriess. I think Cara Noir needs to beat Man Like Deriess to really cement his new character and be sort of the equivalent of what he was during the pandemic, be the face of Progress, but he is the evil face of Progress this time, and have him have a huge reign with this title when no one can beat him and be that final boss of Progress. I'm a big fan of that way to do it. Yeah, I'm intrigued to see where this feud goes. I'm excited to see it, and I think this match was a triumph. Absolute triumph. Massive fan of Alexander Lockhart now, and big fan of heel Cara Noir. And then we got the main event. We had Kanji taking on Nina Samuels in a loser leaves Progress match. Now, this match was awesome. This was awesome. But what I will say about this match and what it did, it really subverted sort of the expectations that I had for it, because I, honest to God, I thought this was going to be a brutal, bloody street fight kind of vibe. And it wasn't. It was a more, particularly towards the beginning, it was a grappling match. It was people, it was Kanji working over the arm of Nina Samuels, and Nina Samuels finding a body part and also working over that previously injured arm of Kanji. It was a very unique loser leaves X match, because usually they are like brutal violent death matches. This wasn't that. This had some hardcore bits in it, like the table bump, but the majority of the action was all sort of in the ring, and I think that was an absolute golden call to make, because what I think this match did so well, and this is like, in hindsight, this makes it look even better, because obviously Nina Samuels lost, spoiler alert, she's leaving Progress, but what I think this match did exceptionally well was make Kanji look like a badass. This made Kanji look insanely cool, from all the moves that she did, all the offense that she did, the shock that Nina Samuels had on her face when she was unable to put her away. This fully like leveled up Kanji. Like, she was already there, but she's been taken to the next level with this match because she just looked awesome in everything that she did. She looked like a badass. She was dominating major parts of this match. Like, this was probably like 60% Kanji and 40% Nina in terms of sort of who had the upper hand, because Kanji was just on a roll through the majority of this match, whether it be through the grappling, whether it be through the brawling in the crowd. This match seemed designed to make Kanji look amazing, and I think they absolutely succeeded with that. There were some really cool bits that Kanji got in this match, like a really awesome bridging bridging choke that looked awesome. It looked like she was going to be pinned, and then she like sat up, did the Zack Sabre Jr. kind of headstand thing with the choke locked in. It looked so cool. And she also had the same thing where she did a neck twist, but from like a handstand. So she pulled Nina Samuels down with the neck twist and then did another neck twist with Kanji Sabre Jr. That was awesome. But Nina Samuels as well, like, put in an absolute shift. She was on top form with her acting, her performance, and doing all the bad guy stuff, the heel stuff. She was like working the crowd to perfection. She was really getting the fans behind Kanji. She hit this awesome uranagi onto the announcer's table and it didn't break. Then she did another one onto the announcer's table and it also didn't break. She was really, really having a great time here, and they both worked really well together. Then we came towards the closing section of the match, in which the bottom turnbuckle gets exposed, the middle turnbuckle, gets exposed, and Kanji takes off the tape. Nina Samuels has been targeting the arm all night. Kanji ends up getting thrown into the middle turnbuckle face first. Nina Samuels hits a starstruck for a near fall. That was put over really well on commentary, that no one's kicked out of the starstruck. It's been a very protected move, and the shock on the face of Nina Samuels, she's like, I've got nothing left. I'm like Ian Beale. I've got nothing left. Nothing left to hit Kanji with. So Kanji has more moves in her arsenal. She has way more stuff that she can go to in that well, whereas Nina Samuels, she's hit her WND, she's hit her nuclear bomb, and still wasn't enough to put her away. Kanji then gets the upper hand. She ends up throwing Nina Samuels into the middle turnbuckle herself, hits this awesome looking hidden blade, smashing Nina's face against the turnbuckle, the exposed turnbuckle, rolls through, targets the arm, locks in a Kimura, and Nina Samuels taps out. Kanji wins. Nina Samuels leaves Progress. It was an exceptional finish. It is a truly brilliant finish. The hidden blade into the middle turnbuckle was beautifully done, and the Kimura tap out win, definitive, put a right good exclamation point on this feud. And yeah, this was a great match. It went long. It was like the longest match on the show by far. It was like 30 minutes long, so they really gave this match time, and I love the way it was structured. It is a great match. It is one of my favourite Progress matches of the year. It's really good, but they've had amazing matches this year. So I know at the beginning I said something along the lines of like there was no definitive match of the year contender on here. This is a match of the year in terms of Progress, but they've also had such good matches. Like, unfortunately I don't think it wasn't as good as, for me, Kanji versus Lana Austin was in Manchester, and it wasn't as good as Kanji versus Rhio at 100 volts. But it was really damn good. It was really damn effective, and it was a great send-off for Nina Samuels. Nina Samuels is giving the middle finger to everyone. She walks to the back. She doesn't shake the hand of Kanji at the end. Flips off Rhio as well, who's on the ramp. Yeah, then she does the bow. She leaves. A very fitting send-off for Nina Samuels' character. Yeah, that closed out the show. It felt like a short show, probably because of Bloodsport stuff that was going on there. But yeah, overall, I was a fan of this show. But I didn't love it. I didn't love it as much as I've loved sort of some of the Progress shows that have been put on this year. I was a big fan of the main event. I'm a big fan of Bad Guy Cara Noir. I'm a big fan of Man Like Deriess, and I'm a big fan of Ricky Knight Jr. Those were sort of the things that really got me invested here. But it was little bits. And it didn't necessarily have the sense of urgency that I think a lot of Progress shows have had as of late. So overall, I would give this show probably like 3.25 out of 5 compared to some of the shows that I've seen this year. But again, I think a mid-tier progress show is very, very good way to spend your time. So yeah, I want to know what you guys think down in the comments below. Were you fans of this show? Were you not? Let me know if you were there. Let me know if you went to Bloodsport as well, and I'll try and apply to every single one of them. Thank you all ever so much for your support, and have a nice day.